up losing that series, but still make one crazy run. So it's like, what do you value the most? The consistency over, the past few regional events, but not the highest placements from Top Blokes, even though I believe they did make it to the finals earlier on in those regional events? Or do you go with the recent results of Endpoint? It's a really tough call.
It absolutely is, but it's not a tough start for Endpoint. It's extremely smooth for them as Virtuoso gets a lot of space afforded to him here in the box, takes the shot, and starts things off right for Endpoint.
Yeah, and that's a weird start there, especially for Cassio, a defender who's usually pretty consistent at challenging those shots. He just gave away space because he expected Virtuoso to bang it off the backboard. He himself went to the backboard expecting that, then decided, oh wait, this was a mistake. You gave too much space to Virtuoso, who recognized it and got a solid shot on.
Metanaris just missed the touch there. That would have been dangerous for the defense of Top Blokes. Here's Virtuoso, doesn't get the touch over to Metanaris. Relating Wave gets the cut from midfield. Virtuoso looking for players on the Top Bloke side, gets a piece of flame, and Relating Wave almost takes it all the way. Still a very fast-paced start here for Endpoint. Virtuoso gets a second touch, but it's not the best. Relating Wave does help out. Archie, dangerous ball into the box. Cassio and Top Blokes looking for their response after going down here quite quickly. It's not going to come for at least on that attack. Virtuoso through the midfield looking for some space, not going to find it. Archie pass back to Cassio. Shot is a bit high. It goes under Metanaris. There's a tough bounce for him. And Top Blokes, that was a great little play. Unfortunately, not able to convert.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the plays that we see out of Top Blokes is, great chemistry between all of them. Archie being a huge factor in a lot of this offense for Top Blokes. Unfortunately, they weren't able to walk away with a goal, but still looking strong. A lot of great transitions here out of Top Blokes, but still counterattack after counterattack. You don't see one team with dominant pressure, and I think that's expected in Game 1 for two teams who, aren't necessarily above each other in skill, because like the Death said before coming in here, if you've got Metanaris on the other team who has popped off so many times, and a lot of his series, I feel like people just say we're waiting for that crazy Metza to come out, the mechanical display from him, and hopefully we get it this series.
We absolutely could. Archie, on the other hand, for Top Blokes, has been a player to watch out for. This dangerous ball, Virtuoso is there, but Archie, he's been the guy to be the shooter. He's also been the passer. He's also been a great defender for Top Blokes. He's kind of done it all for him, but I think his offense is really where Top Blokes needs him the most. Early on in the season, we had talked about Top Blokes being a team where they just wanted you to make the mistake and they can capitalize on it, and they do a good job of that. But you have to be a little bit more creative, and that's where I feel like Archie supplies the biggest advantage for the team, is just being able to be creative in that individualistic type of play.
Yeah. Well, and that's a tough task to do, because you're looking at somebody like Alpha, for example, in the previous series. That's the type of solo play capabilities we want to see out of a player like Archie, who has a lot of the responsibility on offense to create those plays, and we need to see that control that we saw from Alpha. Now the double demo, this is surely going to open up some space, but Metanaris, look at the aggression to get in front of that clear and now open up an opportunity. That's the type of play we want to see out of Endpoint. Oh, and the follow-up, it's too easy for Wave.
And Endpoint buys himself a lot of space. Once again, weird gap in the defense. Archie got the block. Relating Wave gets the bounce, and nobody in the net for Top Blokes. They've been forced to make 5 saves, but it's been 7 shots from Endpoint and a 2-goal lead now.
Oh, and again, that touch from Metza was huge. To cut off both players who are trying to move forward after your teammates both got demoed, you get a touch there. Now an open shot, the miss in the corner. Couple of mistakes on the side of Endpoint, and now this is only a 1-goal game.
Yeah, big mistake here from Relating Wave. Didn't even get a touch on it. Had no boost to work with, but still unfortunate to give that one up, especially when you got yourself a nice cushion. You immediately go back to just a 1-goal lead, and plenty of time now for Top Blokes to get into it. And again, they capitalize on mistakes quite often. That's a big one, and they earn themselves a goal. Virtuoso still trying to force it through the Top Blokes defense. Metanaris plays across, Relating Waves there. Huge block, though, from Flame. Read the play all the way across the net. Archie tries to dribble out from his end, but Endpoint are just all over Top Blokes right now. They are definitely the faster team at the moment. Here's Cassio. All by himself. Does have Flame in the middle. But ultimately gives up the ball. Virtuoso still trying to do what he can to keep possession, but runs out of boost. 40 seconds left now for Top Blokes. Flame off the back wall. Virtuoso doesn't have it. The shot is into him, and Cassio couldn't get it over Virtuoso. Still, Top Blokes looking for some space as they're forced to go back to their own side. Archie has to go into the challenge. Flame, a great pass to Archie. Back to Flame. Shot is on target. Cassio's there. The shot's left side. It goes in. Tied up with 18 seconds left.
And this is how you want to transition out of defense. Go from Flame to the left side, and you'll find Archie. Then he passes it back across. Nice little shot, give and go, and you've got an easier cleanup. This is how you get things done if you're Top Blokes. You might not have the speed advantage, but if you can go for those passes, you can surely take a game.
Uh-oh, not the best kickoff here from Endpoint, and it's gonna be Archie, and Top Blokes might steal game one.
Kickoffs have been a huge thing so far in Europe. In the first series, we saw a lot of kickoff goals going on the side of Vitality, and now Top Blokes come out here to pour kickoff from Endpoint. That pressure instantly utilized from Top Blokes, and they strike.
Wow, what a shift as Top Blokes get the better of Endpoint on the kickoff, and they might just earn themselves game one. Virtuoso trying to make something happen. Metsinaris does get the touch. Virtuoso, can he do it? Up and over, off the crossbar, down. It was wide open, and ultimately Top Blokes get saved by the crossbar and take game one.
Oh, I almost wish we saw that buzzer beater. That would have been such an eventful game one, where Top Blokes get that kickoff goal. They got 2 goals, what was that, in a span of like 30 seconds to come back here against Endpoint. And then Endpoint get the buzzer beater, but no, of course, the script isn't written that way. And this was a close game one. I still think Endpoint had the edge in a lot of their mechanics, a lot of the speed. You talked about it yourself, Corelli. But then at the end of the day, those simple mistakes are what caught them.
Yeah, if you think back to it, I mean, the missed terminating wave in the corner, and then obviously that kickoff as well, that went very problematic for Endpoint. That was the difference maker here. And Top Blokes, I agree. I do think Top Blokes need to pick it up a little bit, though, just obviously in the better half of that game. It felt like Endpoint was the faster team. They were putting together a lot more dangerous chances. Top Blokes were a little bit slow moving downfield. So for Top Blokes, you're happy that you won game one. You know that you might have been outplayed at least for the majority of that game. You have to come into game two with a bit more intensity.
Yeah, and this brings up the age-old theme where it's a team who's constantly patient and waiting for a mistake out of the other team, and the ball is in that team's corner where they can choose, to fix their mistakes, to be more aggressive, and then bounce back against a passive team, which is Top Blokes. And Endpoint, we haven't seen that yet. They need to fix those mistakes, keep up with that suffocating playstyle, because they're taking the boost, they have the speed advantage, and they're winning 50s. You just can't be making those mistakes, and you should have things set here in game two.
So a single game lead now for Top Blokes in the series. Endpoint trying to pick up where they spent most of the game one, and that's with that pace and disruption of defense. Archie does a great job to play this one downfield. Flame was there. I don't think there's too much you got to change from Endpoint side of things. I think they played a solid game. Just unfortunate that those mistakes came out when they did, and maybe even more unfortunate that they were capitalized so swiftly by Top Blokes.
Yeah. The winner of this series will go on to play, I believe it is Vitality, who are waiting on the other side. They looked so scary, so threatening. And these teams, I mean, this is a rival between both of them. They mentioned on the desk that, we had seen this matchup earlier on in regional event number 3. Endpoint look and were the dominant team in that series to go on then to the grand finals. But now Top Blokes come out here and they're playing that passive play style, but punishing, which is the main highlight we have to take away from Top Blokes, that they're punishing on the mistakes from Endpoint.
In the last 10 times, there's only been 2 3-0 sweeps. Each of these teams have been able to take at least a game off each other. It's been at least a fighting chance for both sides. Here's Metsinaris off the ceiling, tried to carry it across. Virtuoso's there. Relating wave crept up a bit far, and Archie has free reign to clear this one downfield. Cassio plays it into the Endpoint corner, but Endpoint all over it. Virtuoso tried to go over Flame. Now Flame has some chance here in the middle. Archie was there. Now Cassio can't put the shot on target. And Top Blokes offense will fizzle out. Only for a moment. Here's Archie. Can he beat Relating Wave? He can't. Second touch, not there. Not enough boost. Cassio to follow up. It's wide. One more from Flame. That'll do it for Top Blokes and a 1-0 lead.
Oh my goodness, Archie. We talked about him being the man to create some opportunities. Check out the speed from him. Setting up his teammates. We got 3 consecutive shots off the backboard. Then finally Flame, the finisher, comes in. Top Blokes looking to be the better team, and they've picked up in that speed department that we were, harping on them before earlier against Endpoint. Is they were just getting beat to the ball every time, and now come out here, you got Archie with the speed.
And great rotation by Top Blokes. Everyone getting involved on that last goal. Here's Relating Wave, has options downfield. Virtuoso wants a piece of that last man. Here comes Metsanaris. Can Relating Wave get back to it? He does. Shot is on target, and Cassio has to turn it away. Great pass from Metsanaris. Virtuoso gets a piece of it, and unfortunately Relating Wave hadn't got back yet. Metsanaris tries to get this offense going once again. Great couple plays from Endpoint, though. You can see the synergy, especially in that final third. Their last attempt, that final shot never came. Here's Archie, second touch, read perfectly by Relating Wave. I think I agree, though. It does feel like Top Blokes have picked up the pace. There's Archie, who just cuts the ball away from an Endpoint player.
Oh, the pool shot pass as well. It's working. Relating Wave got the fake. Now he goes for another one. Back-to-back mind games. Almost worked Top Blokes. Thankfully, they had the rotation. And you're right, Curly. The speed from Top Blokes, definitely, a level above game 1. They've matched it with Endpoint. While I wouldn't say it's superior in every single challenge, they have been able to keep up with Endpoint, which is the big takeaway. No. Now a miss from Flame. That's a mistake you don't want to make. And Metza, he hit it so high up, he could have capitalized.
Disaster. Relating Wave's gonna put it in. What happened to the Top Blokes defense?
I have absolutely no idea. We saw the double commit now, trying to get that save earlier. And then Relating Wave had all the space in the world to set up the double tap. Top Blokes defense just scrambles, looking for any kind of rotation.
Flame initially missed. Cassio backflipped the net, which put him in a dangerous position. Endpoint shots went a little bit wide, and Archie was forced to just bang it off his back wall, unfortunately straight to Relating Wave. And now Endpoint, momentum definitely swinging in their favor off of that one. The defense clearly disorganized.
Well, I mean, you saw Metza too, who had that open shot after the mistake from Endpoint. I think it was, who was it? Yeah. Was it Cassio who missed the open clear? I'm not sure who exactly it was on Top Blokes, but Metza had a really good look at the net, just banged it super high, and I thought Top Blokes were going to run away with it, but no, Endpoint, they kept up the pressure.
Wow, what a clear. And Relating Wave might actually pick it up. Metsanaris still trying to keep it on for Endpoint. Even after all that, it's a tie game. 8 shots in favor of Endpoint, though, to the 7 of Top Blokes. A couple of demos trade for both sides. Virtuoso clears this one to his right side corner and still with the ball. Virtuoso does such a great job of sticking with the ball. He always just stays near it. That's a big miss, though, by Relating Wave. But he's so difficult to get off the ball. Here's Cassio. Can he drop it down? Metsanaris clears it away. Archie, maybe one last chance for Top Blokes, but nobody was in the midfield. Are Endpoint going to keep this one up? They are not, or maybe they will. Flame played it over to Metsanaris, and this one will drop. It was a tough position for both teams. I was surprised that touch even came out. Overtime in game 2.
Now the question is, what are we going to see in this overtime? Because both teams have made a couple of mistakes. In game 1, it was Endpoint making those simple mistakes. Now Top Blokes come out here with a couple of whiffs on the backboard. Both teams struggling to stay consistent with their clears, and they're getting punished for it. But now as we go into overtime, we're going to see the most passive play style out of both these teams, so long as we can pass maybe the 2-minute mark.
I don't know about that for Endpoint. They might just put it away here. It's Virtuoso, and 27 seconds is all it took.
I mentioned a passive play style, but I was completely wrong. Look at Metza, the solo play. We wanted to see him step up again and have a stellar performance like he did in Regional Event 3. He definitely exceeds our expectations with that solo dribble, and now we've got a tied up 1-1 series, Corelli.
And Endpoint able to capitalize on a defense from Top Blokes that struggled, I think, late in this game. Obviously, the first goal for Endpoint, there was a bit of a gap there right off the bat in overtime as well. But again, it did feel like Endpoint had the slight advantage when you think about the offense that they were able to put on. Top Blokes, they had a lot of dangerous chances, especially their only goal was obviously the best chance they got here in this game. They had a couple, off chances, I'd say, from Top Blokes, but otherwise, it felt like Endpoint was the much scarier team here, even though it was still a very close game.
Yeah, and at first it felt like Top Blokes were matching the speed, but as things progressed in that game, I still thought Top Blokes were able to pick up that pace a bit. But Endpoint, it was so suffocating from them. There were multiple shots getting put on target. Top Blokes were forced to keep their rotations tight. If the rotations didn't come out perfect with great timing on getting that clear when you're rotating in as that third man, then Endpoint would strike then, and they'd force a mistake out of you. And it was just difficult for Top Blokes to find a solid clear. We didn't see any of that transition game that we saw in game one. You think back to that give and go pass from the defensive side where they hit one person in the midfield back to the person on the left, and then we can get a nice solid shot on target, good transitions, but there was none of that from Top Blokes. And we look to see in game three if Top Blokes can pick it up in that department.
We will see. How do you stop an Endpoint team that just plays to this consistent, unpredictable pace? This ball gets cleared downfield. Archie to pick it up for Top Blokes, and we look to him to be the man to make the difference as he tried to get a flip reset, couldn't get back under it. Cassio, second touch was good. Metzenaris there to clear it away. Top Blokes in a good position right off the bat. Archie gets a tough challenge for the Endpoint squad. This one goes off the back wall. Big miss. Cassio's there, shot almost saved by Relating Wave, but off the post and in for Top Blokes.
Another panic situation. Top Blokes had forced Endpoint into this weird moment where Metza has to get it clear there. He flies out of net, hoping to get some kind of contact. He whiffs completely, and Cassio, nice little follow-up after that miss. And he was in position, perfect timing on the rotation to punish, and Top Blokes again with that defensive play style, waiting for the mistake to come out.
Here's Flame again. He might just go over everyone. Still a dangerous position. Cassio's there, and a second goal for him, and a second goal for Top Blokes.
And this reminds me of the goal that Archie got earlier on where he was able to air dribble it out, get a second touch over the defenders. None of them expected it. Endpoint. This is one where you didn't even make the mistake. It was just Top Blokes outpacing you on the defensive side.
And this is where Top Blokes get really scary, is when they start generating these chances and are capitalizing almost instantly on them.
We need the combo.
Yeah, that's where, for anyone that they're playing against, you have to start worrying. You have to start slowing the game down. They might get another one here. Tough shot. Follow up from Archie. He was already up and puts it away. 3 goals for Top Blokes.
Oh, there was a bump from Cassio on Relating Wave, which delayed his rotation. Then Flame tries to get that angle. He misses barely. Relating Wave thought it was in. And now the follow-up from Archie. Top Blokes. This is every aspect of the game that we know them for. It's the bumps, the crazy passing on the transition, and also waiting for mistakes to come out.
Less than a minute in, it's 3-0 at the kickoff. Relating Wave and Virtuoso had 6 points apiece. So Endpoint only getting a couple touches on the ball before Top Blokes could put away 3. One played off the back wall. Virtuoso to clear it away for Endpoint. And now if you're on Endpoint, you know you have a lot of work ahead of you. We also have a lot of time. You know you're going to generate some chances. You've been able to in the past 2 games. It's up to you to capitalize now. Good demo from Flame. Metzenaris still there for Endpoint. Low boost situation. Tried to go up the sidewall and over Flame, but it wasn't fast enough. Metzenaris doesn't get the touch. Follow-up from Relating Wave is there. Virtuoso throws a quick fake, up and over one, back wall. Metzenaris was up, but Archie read it nicely in a second touch. Look at the clear from Archie all by himself, and that just stops the offense.
Yeah, and that's a huge hit from Archie as well, where they were missing that instance a little bit before in the previous game, and that's what capitalized, or excuse me, that's what Endpoint capitalized on their defense was, those little whiffs on defense, a couple of mistakes, and now you can see Top Blokes very confident, with getting those hits. Archie consistent now again off the backboard. You expect that now at the top blokes with a confident 3-0 lead. Now the miss from Flamer. Was this just a delayed hit? I think it was from Meta.
And Endpoint do get their first goal here. It's just going to be relating wave over to Metzenaris, and Flame didn't read it properly. And Metzenaris will get the first goal back for Endpoint, and a very welcomed goal now with 2 minutes and 27 seconds left.
When that play slowed down, you could see Metza. There's a moment you could have flipped in earlier. Now a shot from relating wave, getting scary for the defense of top blokes. But Metza, he delayed that shot so that the defender would fly by, miss the 50, and he could flip then afterwards. A crazy play from Metza, still stepping up when they need him to.
Relating wave. Try to get a flip reset. That's an RS for Endpoint. Finding that offense, looking to find their stride, but shut down by Flame. Here's Flame again on the challenge. This ball goes out to the midfield. Metzenaris looking to pick it up. He does, but just throws it downfield to Archie. Relating wave pops it up over to Metzenaris. Endpoint looking scary here. Can't get the drop off the crossbar. Flame. That was a tough read for him either way. Here's Virtuoso. So close for Endpoint. The defense and the fourth man coming up strong for top blokes. Still Endpoint knocking on the door. This one out to Virtuoso, and it goes in for him. Back one for Endpoint.
Oh, the demo attempt is what saved Endpoint in this instance. Flame had to double jump around Metza, who was looking for the demo. He couldn't get out to that challenge early enough. Endpoint, there's a minute and 23 seconds left. There's a chance here for them. Plenty of time to get one back. Looking so much stronger in the later half of this match.
The lead slowly dwindling for top blokes, and the offense ramping up for Endpoint. Could this be another one? Archie makes the save with the tip of his car. Metzenaris still looking to put on that pressure from Endpoint. Seems like they've shifted into a new gear. That pass might be cut out by Archie, and a free goal for him. Back up by 2 for top blokes.
The positional awareness for Archie to know that Virtuoso is going for a pass out here. Archie cuts it out, gets in the way of that passing lane. He's got a free shot so long as he can outpace relating wave, and he does just that. Security now for top blokes.
See what Endpoint can do for themselves here. They work so hard to get themselves back into it, only to maybe have it just slip away by giving up that goal. It might be too much for them. Here's Virtuoso, has relating wave. He gets a bump on Flame. Virtuoso, second touch. It's possible for Endpoint. That's a great play.
Oh, and they continue to go forward with this aggression. Relating wave, the bump on Flame in the air, and Virtuoso rotated his car so perfectly around the ball with the air roll to get that shot using the flip at the last second. Not only do we see that crazy bump, but also the mechanics from Virtuoso. I have been impressed. Endpoint still keeping this game close with 1 goal to trail.
Top blokes want to respond to keep
relating wave.
Relating wave's gonna do it, and a tie game for Endpoint.
Oh my goodness, they've done it. They've tied it up. I didn't think it was possible. There was a 3-goal disadvantage for Endpoint. They come back and they do it with stylish passing like that out of the defensive side. That was so clean to look at, Corelli.
Wow. 30 seconds left. Tied up 4-4. Virtuoso looking for more. Top blokes, they don't have a lot of space on the net, and Metzenaris is going to take the lead in 10 seconds.
What is this explosive offense from Endpoint? Relating wave, the best pass you can get. He chips that out from the corner. Archie can't even go up for it because he wasn't ready. That pass bounced out so fast, and now Endpoint, they've got the lead. This has been one of the fastest and most high-scoring games I think we've seen in a while.
Top blokes, they just need one. 10 seconds left. They have possession. It's up to Flame. Pass over to Archie. Gets
oh, no,
wait. Ties it up! Archie, are you kidding me?
What is going on? Archie still clutches this out. We've got a tied-up game going into overtime. These guys won't let up. Both teams. They're not going to lose this one, Corelli.
Nobody is going down without a fight. Now 10 goals scored, 5-5. Are we going to overtime?
We have to. Unless maybe Endpoint in the last second
Oh, it's still dangerous. Archie's got to make the play.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Goodness, you can't make this up.
What is happening? Look at this shot from Virtuoso. The angle. Buzzer beater. This is the craziest game I think we've ever seen in a while, Corelli. Endpoint, take it. We didn't want overtime. We didn't get it.
Wow. Turtle, there are very few times I lose my composure casting. I'm not going to lie to you. And I apologize, but my goodness, I have never in my entire career of casting seen a game like that. I have never seen a game like that. I don't even know where to begin. I really don't. First of all, unbelievable comeback from Endpoint, but unbelievable comeback from Top Blokes. I mean, honestly, for both teams, obviously Endpoint was down by a lot more, but to give up so many goals, to then fight back from Top Blokes, to get to an overtime, unbelievable from both sides.
And then the unbelievable, Corelli, OT goal, or buzzer beater. It wasn't even OT. We didn't even get set into OT. We were saying, no, surely this has to go into OT. I thought the bounce in the last few seconds, when the clock hit 0, it bounced milliseconds before then, giving Endpoint the opportunity now to come into match point. They were down by 3 goals. They come back, and then they go in the lead 4-3. Top Blokes somehow managed to clutch it up, and it ended in a 6-5 win for Endpoint. Who would have ever in a million years had guessed that outcome? I can't believe it. Now we've got another game. We got match point for Endpoint. Will they continue on with that momentum? You've got to be feeling good for Virtuoso if you get the buzzer beater.
Absolutely, and you kind of have to regroup and regain. I think from both sides, even with that crazy win for Endpoint, but obviously a devastating loss now for Top Blokes. Backs against the wall. You get back to a 0-0 game, 5 minutes on the clock. You still got a series to play. Relating Wave wanting to shut down everything from Top Blokes, follow up by Metzenaris. Virtuoso's gonna go, and he plays it into the corner. Top Blokes there to clear it out. Top Blokes looking to find some sort of form here in this game.
And they need to find something. It's been difficult for them, really, to keep pressure. I think a main key out of their offense has been the transition game, which has been very deadly. Their passing, and also the cutoffs in midfield. That's what was working so well for Archie, especially when finding those passing lanes. He was able to intercept the ball, get a better look on net. We need to see that again. Now the demo almost worked out. And then the tip shot from Archie, it's still off the post, or excuse me, the crossbar. But we're getting closer looks here from Top Blokes.
Yeah, very close for Top Blokes. Flame almost just pushed it through that last defender, not enough. And good defense from Endpoint to stay strong even when things get dicey on the goal line. They cut off the angles for Archie. That was probably the best look Archie was going to get with that shot. He had 2 players in front of him. Relating Wave trying to play through the midfield. Top Blokes picking up the pace a little bit. Can Archie get by? Demo comes through. Is it just going to bounce in for Archie? It will, and Top Blokes, they strike first.
Oh, the aggression now from Casio. He was flipping forward, then bumps Metzenaris, gets the wave dash on the floor to take him out completely, opening up that goal for Top Blokes. All that aggression, the pressure finally results in 1 goal. Top Blokes, they come out, and of course, they're going to respond to that buzzer beater goal from Virtuoso.
Top Blokes, a dream start for them here as they continue to fight in this series. Metzenaris and Endpoint still looking for their first goal. Relating Wave, it could be him. He gets bumped out of the way. Virtuoso's there. Archie clears away, but it's not good enough. Metzenaris puts it away, and Endpoint tie it back up.
The double commit on defense, and now Relating Wave. Look at the placement on the backboard. He got the second touch, knew he had to hit it high. The double commit then on the save from Top Blokes. Pressure getting to Top Blokes and their defensive side. The mentality slipping up just a bit. Everybody panicking. And again, I will bring it back to that hit off the backboard where you're chipping it over the defender, knowing you can get a better setup for your teammate. And now an open net from Metza. What has happened? The Top Blokes defense not in position after kickoff.
It was just Flame back, and he's stuck with only half a tank of boost. Couldn't get back to the ball, had to whip around for it. And a great cut by Metzenaris. But it was such an aggressive kickoff from Top Blokes. I think Archie went for the midfield boost. And when they lost it, they only had Flame back. Here's Archie, flip reset. Not good enough. Relating Wave turns it away. Flame still trying to keep the play alive. But Cassio decides not to go. He was pushed too far back. Archie does actually get the ball, but pays for it with his life. Relating Wave gets under one. Cassio there to clear it away. Halfway through game 4. Flame. Now Cassio, not too much going on the clear. It was straight to Metzenaris. Tried to give it over to Virtuoso. He will pick it up. He's got Relating Wave under him, but the pass not there.
And I've been impressed from Endpoint and their ability to have one person go up for a 50, and that second man comes in, crashes on the offensive side, and keeps the pressure. And if you pay attention, it seems like Endpoint do a really great job of winning a 50 or beating them out in that speed department. Now the pass out from Relating Wave. Endpoint looking like they're going to take Top Blokes again in a 3-1 fashion of the series.
And it's a great pass from Relating Wave just to get by that first man on the challenge. Gives all that space over to Virtuoso.
Wow.
And a great top shelf shot to beat that last man. Endpoint up 3-1.
Again, this is the same series score if Endpoint take this game in match point to move on to the semifinals. This is what happened in regional event number 3. Looking like it might be the same thing. I mean, I'm certain that we didn't have a repetition, of the previous game. That was just unreal, but this one a little bit more predictable, and those 50s, again, I'll say it, from Endpoint have been so threatening on the offensive side to keep their pressure going.
Clear from Flame. He's going to try and follow this one. No boost. Top Blokes. They got 2 out. It's just Metzenaris. He's forced to just lightly clear it downfield. Metzenaris does get it down. There's nobody back. There's nobody home for Top Blokes, and Endpoint march to a 4-1 lead.
This is disastrous. Cassio went up for this aerial, knowing full well he should have been beat, but he still tried to get a dunk. And you don't want to blame him because in the final, 2 minutes, you're trying to get a goal. You want to be as aggressive as possible. But in that instance, he was just so far beat. Nobody's home because the aggression was at least trying to get mounted on offense. And now a big miss. What is going on for the defense of Top Blokes? They are breaking down in these moments of pressure.
Yeah, things falling apart for Top Blokes. Virtuoso, again, another wide open net for him to shoot on. And things have gotten very bad for the Top Blokes defense. You thought maybe they could start and hold on to that 1-goal lead. They started off so well, but all of a sudden, Endpoint have come roaring back. 1 minute to go. Archie might get one here. Definitely possible. We have seen some crazy things in this series.
You know what? After the previous game, I believe that anything is possible in this game, and I should have already known that. Now Top Blokes getting a nice goal with 58 seconds left. Corelli, we need to see better decision-making out of Top Blokes going forward with that aggression and better 50s. They can do this. It's going to be tough. 3 goals in under a minute, but we've seen it happen.
It's going to require some very quick goals as Archie gets bumped into the ball. And again, nobody back. Flames racing to get there. The touch isn't there from Virtuoso. Here's Metzenaris. Can he hang on to it? He can't. Flame gets by one. Gives it over to Archie, but a good challenge from Virtuoso. Top Blokes, if they're going to do it, they need to score now. They still got to make up 2 more if they get there first here. Virtuoso off the back wall, Relating Wave, looking to put the game to bed, and that might just do it either way. With so much time off the clock, it's very tough to score 3. Metzenaris will throw it into the midfield. Archie can't get back to it.
That's got to do it.
And seriously, one of the wildest series that I've seen are going to be able to come out on top. And I got to say, what a comeback from them in the previous game. It shows the tenacity of a team like Endpoint and a well-deserved win from them here over Top Blokes.
Yeah, we've got flashbacks to that previous matchup between these two teams. A lot of people, even the desk, was very heavily sided towards Top Blokes. But Endpoint prevail, upsetting, dare I say, Top Blokes in confident fashion. These guys looked very deadly on the field, and that was because Endpoint were able to throw consistent players forward without risking their defensive side. You know, you'd see Virtuoso and Metzenaris a lot of times be super aggressive, but that third man back would always have their backs, be that safety net in case they didn't get a solid 50. They could go in forward, keep the pressure, at least stall out a couple of seconds. Endpoint could then go on to take some boost, keep starving top Blokes and outpacing them in every situation on the field. Endpoint, like you said, tenacity, winning that previous game. These guys have a lot cut out for them against Vitality, but it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, like you said, Endpoint will move on to play Vitality. Up next, we got the top of the bracket. Stay with us. We got more games coming up.